All right, the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade feels like it's going to be happening sooner than we think. Shams Charania of ESPN reported that Giannis and his agent have started conversations with the Milwaukee Bucks about the two-time MVP's future and discussing whether his best fit is staying or elsewhere, and a resolution is expected in the coming weeks. We know that Giannis actually requested a trade in the offseason, but he had a very short list, and the Bucks were like, we don't really need to trade, and you're under contract for the next 2 seasons. Now, Brian Windhorst of ESPN also basically just said on a radio show that Giannis has already requested a trade, and it felt like some rumblings were happening. Giannis scrubbed his social media after their really embarrassing loss to the Washington Wizards. They ended up losing 129-126 a couple days ago, and the Bucks this year do not really look like they're going to contend for an NBA title. We know that Giannis wants to win an NBA title and recapture the season he had with the Bucks back in 2021. This year overall, the Bucks are currently 18th in net rating, 21st in defensive rating, and 16th overall in offensive rating. Giannis has missed some time this year, and in the games he didn't end up playing, they lost to the Charlotte Hornets by 11, they lost to Philadelphia by 9 in overtime, they lost by 13 to Detroit, they lost by 12 to Portland, 3 to Miami. They were able to beat Golden State earlier in the year by 10 when Giannis missed a game in which Ryan Rollins kind of saved them. But yeah, 1-5 without Giannis, and they're about 500 with Giannis this year. They've made a massive risk in the offseason, waiving and stretching Damian Lillard to go out and sign Miles Turner, who could have helped them this year. Damian Lillard was not going to be able to help them as he was going to be out for the year. They've gotten some nice seasons out of Ryan Rollins and AJ Green, 2 guys that Milwaukee has developed over the last year or so. But when you look at the landscape of the Eastern Conference, especially after just losing to the Washington Wizards, I don't think anybody would confidently say Milwaukee could beat Detroit, New York, Cleveland, Orlando, Atlanta, Miami, or any of these teams in the Eastern Conference, and let alone any of the teams in the Western Conference, if the small chance they ended up making it to the NBA Finals. And we were just going to get to this point eventually, right? Giannis said that he wants to compete in Milwaukee, he wants to win in Milwaukee, but now that this team is under 500, I feel like we were just hitting that inevitable point where Giannis was going to eventually request a trade. He has a player option for the 2028 season. Next year was going to be the last full guaranteed year of Giannis in Milwaukee. He had an October of 2026 extension deadline, and we all knew if Giannis did not sign an extension with Milwaukee next year, they had to trade him. And now if you trade him today, you will get way more than if you traded him in a year from now, because a team would get Giannis for 2 playoff runs rather than just 1 playoff run, and that could net you back a really good player or a couple more first round picks. And I think it's going to be fascinating to look at the teams that would actually go out and trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Everybody's going to bring up the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are 21-1. I don't think this would end up happening. They just won an NBA title. They are by far and away the best team in the NBA right now. I think if another team went out and traded for Giannis, maybe OKC would make a corresponding move, but you're 21-1. This team is on pace to break the 2016 Warriors 73-9 regular season record. Maybe this could transpire in the offseason if the pick that they have, that's currently the LA Clippers top 5 projected pick, along with maybe Isaiah Hartenstein, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, some of those guys for Giannis. Maybe you could talk yourself into it because you're not trading away Chet or J-Dub. I don't think it ends up happening in OKC. The Houston Rockets went out and traded for Kevin Durant in the offseason. This would also be a tough one to figure out. You would have to trade a ton of your depth, including Dorian Finney-Smith, Fred VanVleet, who's not playing this year, some nice draft capital that you own from the Phoenix Suns or the Brooklyn Nets, and then you'd most likely have to move a couple of Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, and Jabari Smith Jr. They can get it done financially because Amen Thompson is still under his rookie deal. Alperen Şengün got way below the rookie max extension that he could have gotten, and Kevin Durant also saved the Houston Rockets a ton of money in the offseason when he signed a contract extension about $30 million less over 2 years that he could have originally gotten by Houston. So I would definitely keep an eye on the Rockets. They could put out some type of lineup of Amen Thompson, Şengün, Kevin Durant, and Alperen Şengün. Now you really run into some floor spacing issues there. This would be a really interesting time for San Antonio to say, you know what, this may be the healthiest Wemby could ever be in his career. With him at his gigantic size, maybe we worry about some injury concerns long term, and you may not get another bang for your buck like this ever again of Wemby playing at a top 5 level under this rookie contract. So you could trade away some guys to pair up Giannis with Wemby, De'Aaron Fox. I'd assume you'd have to part ways with one of Dylan Harper or Stephon Castle. I think Harper's got a better long-term ceiling, and Castle can help out Milwaukee right now. I think Keldon Johnson, Julian Champagnie, Jeremy Sohan, maybe Devin Vassell could be in that trade as well. And the Spurs have some draft capital to work with here. They don't have some amazing draft picks on paper, but it could be appealing to get a nice quantity back if you're Milwaukee. And yeah, imagine a front court of Victor Wembanyama and Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're not scoring on those two, and then you'd have De'Aaron Fox and one of Dylan Harper or Stephon Castle in the backcourt. Maybe you're able to keep Devin Vassell in all of this, and that could be a formidable five that can go toe-to-toe with OKC in the playoffs. I don't think Denver would have nearly enough assets to get this type of deal done. Phoenix, I don't think would have the assets. People are always going to bring up Golden State and the LA Lakers. I don't think either of those two teams have an appealing package. The Lakers would have to send Austin Reeves, in my opinion, to Milwaukee, and they're not doing that right now. As for Golden State, you would have to part ways with one of Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green. I don't really think that's an appealing return for the Milwaukee Bucks going where they are in their rebuild if they trade away Giannis, because remember, Milwaukee doesn't own any direct path to their first round pick till 2031. So they don't really have an incentive to tank going forward since they don't own their draft picks. So they want NBA ready players coming back right now. And then if you look into the Eastern Conference, I don't think the Detroit Pistons would make a move for him, let alone like the Bucks trading him within the division. I don't think the Toronto Raptors would get something done unless they wanted to trade away Scottie Barnes. That's not happening at this point, in my opinion. Miami is interesting because they have about $25 million of Terry Rozier's money, which is expiring, which can help facilitate this deal. You'd have to part ways with Tyler Hero, in my opinion, and probably Kel'el Ware as well, and any type of draft pick you also own in your possession. The Knicks are going to get brought up as well. They're going to be brought up with Karl Anthony Towns to maybe go out and get Giannis. Now, maybe if the Bucks knew they could land a top pick in the draft, because they do have a swap worst with New Orleans. So say, in a reality, the Pelicans get pick 1, the Bucks get pick 3. The Bucks get pick 3 in the NBA draft. It's a swap worst with the Pelicans pick that's in possession of Atlanta. So yeah, maybe you can have a young guy to build around. You would want a Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns to help you not tank and be competitive in the Eastern Conference. I just think there's teams that can offer more appealing packages and a better young player and better draft capital, because the Knicks can really just offer swaps at this point. Orlando, they could theoretically get some type of deal done here. I don't think they would trade away Paolo Banchero for Giannis. I don't think they would trade away Franz Wagner for Giannis. Atlanta is probably the most intriguing team to me in the Eastern Conference because they have that swap best with Milwaukee and New Orleans. So if one of those teams gets the #1 pick, that's going to Atlanta. They have Trae Young on their roster, but with the emergence of Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I think they would be okay trading away Zachary Reese-Shea. I think they would trade away either one of Kristaps Porzingis and Onyeka Okongwu. They would trade away Zachary Reese-Shea, the #1 pick in the 2024 draft. I think they'd be able to keep Jalen Johnson. Obviously, that's the guy that can get this deal done. But what if you led with a package that was like Asa Newell, Onyeka Okongwu, Zachary Reese-Shea, and Dyson Daniels, and you can get some draft capital to Milwaukee? I think that's a really appealing return for the Bucks, and the Hawks can roll out a lineup of Trae Young at the 1, Nickeil Alexander-Walker at the 2, Jalen Johnson at the 3, Giannis at the 4, and then one of Kristaps Porzingis or Onyeka Okongwu at the 5. That is definitely a team that can go all the way in the Eastern Conference this year. I will say, keep an eye on the Atlanta Hawks. I don't know how aggressive they want to be in a Giannis trade, but they definitely have the assets to go out and get him. Boston doesn't. Philly doesn't, because I don't think Milwaukee wants that Embiid or Paul George contract. Chicago, I'm sure, will make some type of offer for Giannis, or at least make a phone call. I just don't think they have the capital. Also, them trading Giannis within the division. Brooklyn could maybe happen in the offseason. I don't really think it makes a lot of sense for them to trade for Giannis in season. And also the Pacers would be cool as well, but you would really need to land like the #1 overall pick this to happen in the offseason, and the Bucks to be okay trading him within the division. And this storyline is not going away. I feel bad for Bucks fans because I'm sure they're just tired of this, right? They go out and trade for Damian Lillard in 2023, it doesn't work out. Last year they trade for Kuzma, doesn't work out. They wave and stretch Damian Lillard for Miles Turner. I guess right now it's not really working out. This team can be competitive at times, and it's still a weak Eastern Conference. I think there's a chance Milwaukee could theoretically win a playoff series if they got the right matchup in round #1, but Giannis is just kind of looking at this team the same way we're looking at it. I'm not really taking them seriously as a title contender. I think the East looks a little bit better than what we thought at the beginning of the year. I think Detroit, Toronto, Miami are a lot better than expected. Boston as well, and they may even get back Jason Tatum this year. So we might actually be heading towards a path where Giannis Antetokounmpo could get traded at the deadline. Last year, we saw Luka Doncic get traded in the beginning of February. What if that happens with Giannis and we get back-to-back years of top 5 players in the sport getting traded? So yeah, I'd love to know what you guys think about this situation right now. I just feel like it's inevitable at this point because I don't think Milwaukee, with their lack of draft capital, they're kind of non-existent young core, and where they stand in the Eastern Conference, they're really not going to be a team that can compete for a title within the next 2 years with Giannis Antetokounmpo on their roster. So let me know your favorite Giannis Antetokounmpo fit down below in the comments. Drop a thumbs up if you guys did enjoy this video. Any more news we get about this, I will be bringing it to you guys on this channel, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.